I think it could always happen. Like you're seeing now with Rumble. You know, after Andrew Tate got banned, he's now gone over to Rumble. Steve will do it. He's a YouTuber, and he got banned from YouTube. He's never allowed to have a channel again. It was kind of dumb how he got banned and why he got banned. He was, he's promoting the stake, this online gambling thing, and then I guess he's supposed to blur out the screen if he shows a screen, and he didn't blur it out enough, something like this. So they now banned him. His whole channel. He had, I don't know, over 1 million, maybe 2 million subscribers, and he was spending money like he was kind of like the R-rated Mr. Beast, kind of giving away money, but also kind of like in a making offensive jokes, let's just say, right, or like borderline joke, right? For me, I'm not offended by it, but I just I could see why people wouldn't like it. I felt bad for him, but now he's talking about maybe going over to Rumble as well, right? I know Joe Rogan talked about that they offered him $100 million during the whole time that the whole thing, the fiasco was going on with him kind of spreading false information. I think that they're a major player. I think Rumble could be like the next YouTube. Now that like Andrew Tate goes there, if Steve will do it goes there, these are some guys that like I like watching that I would actually go. I've never even logged into Rumble. I don't have an account, but I would consider it if there's some big person who goes there. And Elon Musk, he's been talking about X.com. It's coming, and that's going to be his replacement to Twitter.
Maybe. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see, man. It's like I've heard that a lot of times. Like, this is going to take over Twitter, or this is going to be the new thing, and everybody's moving over here. And I'm like, I've seen these things come and go. I've heard of a lot of video platforms that were going to be the new YouTube. So we'll see. Yeah. I think the unfortunate part, here's the thing. I don't think anybody will usurp the dominant position, so it'll always be there. However, I think there will be bigger markets for these sub niches, or if you go for this type of content. So if you want slightly edgier content, okay, you go to Rumble. And then if Rumble bans you and you have your own platform, you go to this thing over here or whatever. Or there's obviously a trend of creators setting up their own platforms, their own memberships, their own things. The ones that have been, I think, deplatformed especially.
Yeah. That's a bit different because they can still use, it seems like Vimeo seems to be where they're going, right?
Yep.
It's interesting with actually, I just want to point out real quick how Amazon runs AWS, and AWS runs like a lot of the internet, right? So yes. I'm surprised that they haven't come down with stricter rules for what they're allowing and not allowing and so on, right? Hopefully it doesn't come down to that, because once they start getting down to like hosting companies banning you, and you're no longer, right? Because a lot of other hosting companies are actually just buying hosting from one place and then selling it at a premium with a new UI somewhere else. So there's not a lot of data centers, right, out there.
Yeah,
so if they start,
I'll set up my own. That'll be an excellent opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. But what if they start regulating? If you want to have a data center, right, you have to abide by these.
Yeah,
therefore, that's how they could really censor. It's like getting down to hosting. That's when they're going to censor everybody, right, at one point, right?
Eventually, but don't you see that that's inevitable? I don't see how that's not inevitable. Like, I think it has to go there eventually.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically, that's what I'm saying, is that it's interesting that Amazon and AWS have not been in the news for censoring, right? It's always like the choice of like a YouTube or a this or that, right? But it's like, what happens when, It's like...
well, AWS, again, it's also state subsidized, state funded as well. So,
oh, is it? I don't even know.
Yeah. FBI, CIA, all this stuff uses their servers, whatever. So like when you get to that level of that entanglement of high-level government things interacting with very large corporations, it's let's just say it's a strange setup. It's not your typical free market capitalist setup.
Do you think this whole like I don't know, blockchain stuff, like do you think that could make some sort of a hosting that's kind of decentralized, therefore, is that possible? I don't even know.
Technically, Ethereum's supposed to be just that. Like, it's supposed to be like an app that you, hypothetically, in Ethereum would be just one example where it's almost like a distributed server. So yes, technically, it's possible. The question is, when does that ever become a reality? And then when it becomes a reality, the people who develop it, are they just going to do it out of the goodness of their heart, make it decentralized? Like, I think the decentralized bandwagon of crypto it's misleading, and it'll show itself over time to be misleading, because I do believe the blockchain will not be decentralized in the end. and it won't be anonymous in the end. I don't think it even claims to be honest with you. It's almost like you have that permanent ledger. So I'm like, it's going to this strange. So I'm like, even the benefits of it, the proposed benefits of it, I'm skeptical of them. I think there's some interesting tech, but it would have to be intentionally built. So you'd have to get it would be like nonprofits or people who are really passionate about like maintaining some free speech type of thing or whatever, right? Like that's the only way I see. Otherwise, people will see how much money they can make by creating the thing, but not actually having any of the elements or components that supposedly make it special. Anonymity, decentralization, and what that supposedly
because I would imagine
means.
that even if you let your computer run some background software that was giving away your computer processing and earning a crypto for that, right? Let's just say Apple closed the ecosystem, they could probably make it so you can't do that if they wanted to, or if they were forced to. I'm guessing, right? Probably the internet service providers could probably figure out that you're doing that somehow, right? And so and they can prevent that. So it would be like you're probably gonna need some old Pentium computers or something like that, and it's gonna be a little bit like so how many ways you could try to get around if they really wanted to prevent people from creating a decentralized hosting platform that allows you to host things that are censored. I am definitely against anything like illegal. I don't like the idea of censoring people based on their opinions. Like this whole Andrew Tate thing, I had a concerned mother reach out to me and say, like, how could you support this Andrew Tate? He talks about, beating women and stuff like that. I'm like, did he say that? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, send me the clip. And she's like, no, I got time, So I quickly went and looked it up. And there was this hilarious video of him holding a machete, talking about how he's gonna slap a girl if she's cheating or something. I don't know what he's talking, but it was clearly to me, it was like a joke. It was like I was laughing so hard watching it. I'm like, there's no way someone's gonna watch this and think he's serious.
What would a woman do? Slap the machete, slap her in the face, one hand, machete and a backhand. I perfected this in pimp school. When I got my PhD, we had to practice if a girl comes at you, you cheater, you're cheating. It's bang out the machete, boom in her face, and then grip her up by the neck. Like, shut up!
It's like he's holding a machete, talking about slapping a girl and stuff, right? But I could see, the concern. But then I thought about it, I was like, I grew up listening to rap. I don't know about you, but I listened to a lot of rap music. Yeah. And you listen to what rappers say, it is way worse. They're talking about murdering people and just like crazy stuff, right? And
yes.
So, and then I remember that she had a story, whatever was playing, that one of her stories on her Instagram, that she was listening to Tupac, right? And I was thinking about it. I was like Tupac said a lot of crazy stuff too, right? And so her concern was what if your son would hear what Andrew Tate had to say? It's like, I'm like, Andrew Tate is not my son's father. I'm his father, and I'm gonna let him know that you ain't gonna slap no girls.
To Andrew Tate.
Yeah, you slap a girl, I'm gonna kick your ass. So, but it's to me, it's it was a joke that he's the whole thing, and the fact that people don't get that that's a joke, and I was like, it just, I don't know, right? So I don't like that. Censoring Andrew Tate or what they did to Steve Will Do It, and even Alex Jones, and I don't agree with he was the first person to get deplatformed, right? I think his whole thing with the Sandy Cook case, whatever. I mean, I don't even understand how he got sued. I understand why it was stupid what he said. I'm surprised he got sued.
I'm surprised he got sued. I'm surprised there was, because usually you have to what is it? You have to demonstrate or show damages.
Yeah.
So it was just because he's saying some things, and I didn't pay attention to the court case at all. So I actually have no idea what happened. Yeah. But from afar, I'm like, that's really interesting because. I mean, that's really, it's interesting, some of these court cases, which gets to, we may not get into it now, but the why I'm suing YouTube kind of court case. And it's just sometimes I find these cases fascinating, how they are playing out. And it all comes back to a central theme, which we were just talking about, which is, I think the concept of censorship is a big theme. It's all this stuff, it's censorship and how things are going to play out. Because it's that's the next thing, man. We grew up in the wild west of the internet. You know what I mean? You and I, and all the OGs. Mm-hmm. And it was at that time, it was set up a website, GeoCities, whatever. It's gotta hack together this. There were no platforms. It was just wild west.
Yeah.
This next age now is all the social media. It's all the owned platforms. Those owned platforms are they supposed to be, are supposed to be private enterprises, right? And that's where people claim to say things. Well, it's like a private company; they can do what they want. Man, I'm just saying we're at a level where that doesn't really fly anymore. Like there's going to be ramifications for all this. It's coming down the pipeline.